But he says, here are 7 things that you're going to see in America. And so the first one, he said, America will depart from the faith. It will depart from the faith of its fathers. It will depart from the fundamental churches and from the fundamental preachers for many years. And pagan religions will take root in America and will flourish there. I said, oh God, no. How could they believe in strange gods, and how could they do that? The Lord said they will do it. And so the second thing that God told me was that Eastern religions would become a prominent part of American life, that Hinduism would invade our country. Now, we have seen this. We've seen thousands of people take up yoga, and yoga just means one thing, that you submit yourself to an unseen force. In the third place here, he says that cults and demon worship and satanic worship will become prominent in America. And I said, Lord, how could that be? That a nation that was built on the Bible, that came out of Europe, where Satan worship has always been for many hundreds of years, how could it be that they would go back into satanic worship? And the Lord said unto me that they would come back to fetishes and carry holy things around with them, and that they will have covens, and in these covens they will make sacrifices, and they will be just like the pagans. It says in the fourth place, there will come a terrible and awful spirit of rebellion in America. A spirit of rebellion. And I said, oh God, what do you mean? He says the greatest place you will see it is in the homes. The home within itself, that used to be the place of tenderness and the place of love and the retreat from the world, to come inside the homes. And I said, in what way? He says, so far homosexuality has been something behind the doors. He said it is a spirit that comes upon a man that will make him lust for the body of another man. And the Lord said, would you just read Romans? And I opened my Bible to Romans. He said, look in chapter 1. And I said, all right, Lord. And I began reading in verse 23 and in Romans chapter 1. And it said, and they changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image. He says, you see, they're going to worship images right in your own country. The sixth thing God told me, I don't like to talk about. God told me that on television, just like you have homosexuality, claiming their rights and boasting and seeing them carry on television, he says that bestiality will become the same. That women will say, my dog is nervous and my dog can't stand it, and I have to give him sex. And when I give him sex, then he becomes normal again. And bestiality will become a prominent thing in America, where people will lay with animals. And the Bible says they that do such things, you might say, did he tell you that something good would come? Yes, or I would have asked to die if that desk in Manila. He did. He told me, he said, and son, you will witness the mightiest revival the human race has had. And I said, oh God, really? And he said, in Acts chapter 2, you can read it. It says, in verse 17, it shall come to pass in the last days, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters, they shall prophesy. And your young men, they shall see visions. Your old men shall dream dreams. And on the servants and the handmaidens, I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy. And so God said, yes, in the last days, a revival such as you have never seen will come to pass.